All right, we're speaking to comedian Aaron Weber, and he's going to be at Laugh Boston this weekend. Then I see you're going down the Cape, as they say here, to Barnstable on Sunday at the Cotuit Center for the Arts. And Aaron, do you know how I found out about you playing the area?
No, how?
On your MySpace page. Oh my God! I thought, this is funny. I'm prepping for the interview, and I'm like, he's got his homepage, and I go there, and it's a MySpace page, and then at first I'm like, this is funny. He sends you to MySpace. That's funny. And then I'm looking, holy crap, everything's updated. You're current on MySpace. I mean, your last login was the 23rd, for crying out loud.
That's right. Yeah, so I built that website from scratch to look like an old school 2003, 2004 era MySpace page.
Oh, it's so perfect. It is so
thank
perfect.
you, man.
It's so funny.
It's been probably a horrific business decision for my part, because I'm not kidding. You're maybe in 5 or 6 years, you're maybe like the fifth person to kind of get it and appreciate it. But I'm telling you, that's worth it for me, because I think it's a lot of, if you're not familiar with that era of MySpace, you're like, what is this terrible website? Why does he have a top 8? Who's Tom? Right? Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
I was friends with Tom too. Have you spoken to him recently? I haven't heard from him in maybe 20 years since I last checked in on MySpace.
Yeah, it's an era of the internet that I'm nostalgic about. So it's fun to have my website be one.
Oh, it's so much fun. I suggest everybody check it out. So you get your top 8, you got Tom, but then you have the Goo Goo Dolls on there. And now, did you make it so it looks like they're online now? It has the online now. Oh my God, dude! I was like, are the Goo Goo Dolls still on MySpace?
Yeah. It's all fake, but I'm pretty proud of how accurate everything looks.
It is. It was the beginning of it was the beginning of the end of face-to-face conversation. MySpace.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. And look at us now. Talking from across the country over the phone.
Yeah. Yep. Unbelievable. Right. Well, yeah, you're going to be at Laugh Boston this weekend, and I said down the Cape on Sunday. And now you were born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama, but you're based in Nashville these days. And how long you been living in Nashville?
I moved to Nashville 2008 when I was a junior in high school. So I've been there. We're coming up on almost been in Tennessee longer than I was in Alabama. So it's one of those weird things. People ask me where I'm from. I don't know. I just say the South,
right.
or I have to explain the whole thing. But yeah, I lived there for 15 years now. And since I've been doing comedy, I've gotten to, travel all over the country. Boston, for whatever reason, is just a city that I haven't touched. I did a show in Medford years ago, but we didn't have time to actually go into the actual city of Boston. So this is really exciting for me to spend a whole weekend there.
Well, I mean, it can be an extremely fun and friendly city. It can also be an extremely nightmarish, obnoxious experience if you run into the right people. It just depends what kind of day people are having. I mean, I lived in Richmond, Virginia for a while, and that's just the beginning of the South. And one thing I noticed moving from here down to there is that people are much friendlier, much more laid back. But when I first moved there, it was kind of a shock, because I'd just be walking down the street and we'd make eye contact, and they go, "How you doing today?" And the first thing I'd say is, "What do you want?"
Right, and in your head, you're not being rude, right? You're
right.
Just being efficient.
Right, exactly. I don't have a lot of time here. What the hell do you want? Why are you saying hi to me?
And I notice that when I'm in different parts of the country. I genuinely don't think people are trying to be rude, trying to be mean. It's just we just operate differently in different parts of the country.
So Nashville has become, or is still becoming, a comedy hotspot. I have a couple of friends who are stand-up comedians who moved there. And it used to be, I want to break into stand-up comedy. I'm going to New York, or I'm going to L.A. But what is it about Nashville now that's making a hotbed of comedy?
Who are your friends that have moved here?
One of them is Tony Capabianco. Oh, geez, I can't remember his name.
Oh, I know Tony Capabianco. Yeah.
You know him?
I do know Tony. I know Tony well. I see him all the time. He rides a motorcycle to the shows. He carries his helmet around with him. I know Tony really well. Long hair.
Yeah, big muscle guy. Yeah.
yeah.
He used to be our
he's a good dude.
Yeah, he used to be our web guy at this radio station we used to work at. And,
okay.
And I remember he texted me and he was just like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I'm moving to Nashville to get into the comedy scene." And I was just like, something that, I mean, I know it's Music City, but
right.
But yeah, now it's why is it such a hotbed for comedy?
In the last few years, it was, for a while, it was one of the only places in the country you could perform live stand-up. So it had that going for us for a while. We have a great club, and we've had some bigger comics, famous comics, who kind of have stuck around or live here. So there's like a growing culture kind of cultivating younger comics in the city. A lot of stage time, a lot of different shows. It is Music City. Like, there's no denying that. There's live music everywhere. But I think a lot of these venues are, I mean, if you do live music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're like, maybe take one night off and do something different, just for a little bit of a reprieve, from the same 5 Garth Brooks songs that they hear every night. So there are a lot of opportunities to get on stage here. It's just a good community and a great club here. So it's the only place I've ever really settled in and done stand-up. I mean, I've traveled around, but it's been my home base since I started. But I just think it's just a great place to be, man.
I thought it was because of the huge number of bachelor and bachelorette parties that roll through Nashville. I know most comedians consider those to be a nightmare. Are you one of those people?
I used to run a show at a bar that had a contract with a pedal tavern company. They have pedal taverns in Boston.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like it's a bar on wheels where everyone sits around it and you pedal your feet and it just like drives through the city.
Oh, okay. We have the actual vehicle, but probably are not allowed to consume in Boston.
Oh, okay.
We still have alcohol laws that date back to the Plymouth plantation where the Pilgrims started the state. So, you may be wary of that when you come up here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they're a bit of a scourge in Nashville with all the bachelorette parties, these pedal taverns. So I used to run a show at a bar that had a contract with one of these pedal taverns, so that every 9 to 10 minutes one would stop at the bar. So I've learned to deal with it. They can be awful, they can be okay, but
it's kind of a roll. It's kind of a roll of the dice. You could have a good group, or it could just be a horror. I know I have several friends who are bartenders. They all hate the bachelor parties. So, and I know some comedians say the same thing too, and so I was just wondering about that. So
thank God the club is not in a part of town where we see them a ton.
Right. Yeah. So this would be your first experience in the city of Boston proper. Interesting.
Yes, sir. I'm going to Fenway on Sunday.
Oh,
that's pretty exciting. Never been. I'm trying to go to every ballpark in the country. This is obviously like a huge one to cross off. So that's fun. If you have any other recommendations of how to kill a day in Boston, let me know, man.
Well, after you go to Fenway, you will be completely broke. So I suggest start panhandling.
Oh, really?
Right away. But that whole area around Fenway during games, like a lot of parks, but it just seems to be more so these days. It's just become a huge party during games. Some people call Fenway the great cathedral of baseball, which it is. And some people call Fenway the best bar in town, pretty much.
I like both of those.
Happens to be a baseball game going on,
Yeah.
But the Sox are really stinking up the joint these days, so you should have a lot of fun.
Okay.
If you can somehow, I would recommend getting over to Chinatown. That's always fun. You could find not only excellent food, but every now and then there's a body on the sidewalk that they're drawing an outline around. I could tell you the touristy thing and follow the Freedom Trail and go to the Bunker Hill Monument in Charlestown and all that stuff. But
I mean, is that you're saying that like, would you think less of me if that's what I did?
No. I mean, it's if you're into that kind, like not everybody's into Revolutionary War history. So
that's so funny, just how bored you sound with it. You're like, whatever. Who cares?
No, I actually love history, but living here most of my life, it's just kind of like, I have friends or family like, we want to do the Freedom Trail. And it's like, oh, okay. This will be the 6,000th time.
Dude, I'm excited, man. I'm pumped about this.
Yeah, I mean, Fenway, my goal, I can't hit, I don't think I'll hit every park, but I got to make it. Have you been to Wrigley Field?
I'm going to Wrigley next month. So those are like the two biggest ones that I've been waiting to cross off. I was giving Chicago flack at last shows because every time I'm in Chicago, the only people I've only been to White Sox games, and then I was telling people that, and they were like, "Well, you need to come see a Cubs game." And at the time, I was like, "Well, I keep coming here in October."
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? I can't. You don't have games. That's what I said.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna have to come here in June if you want me to go to a game at Wrigley. But anyway,
have you been to?
They're doing better this year. But
have you been to PNC Park in Pittsburgh?
I have.
Oh, I love that park,
man.
Yeah, it's
very underrated. Yeah. Underrated park, man.
Yeah,
great view of the city.
Yes.
I mean, when I went, there were maybe 2,500 people in the whole ballpark because they were one of the worst teams in baseball at the time.
Yeah.
But I imagine this year things are a little more exciting. I imagine it's just awesome there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. People don't know how good they have in places like Pittsburgh and like St. Louis and stuff, because in Boston it's like $100 to park like within a 2-block radius of Fenway Park, and everything is super expensive. And then I was in shock because I went to PNC Park and it was like it's $10 to park a block away, and as soon as you walk through the gate, there's a guy with a giant cooler of like Yingling tall boys going, "Hey, would you like a beer?" I'm like, "How much?" He's like, $8. I said, "Oh my God, I want to live here."
That's funny. You think $8 is a good. That's how skewed the prices are at these ballparks. We get excited about an $8 beer,
right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, thank you very much for taking the time. You will be at according to your MySpace page, you will be at Laugh Boston Friday night and Saturday night, and then down the Cape, Katuitt Center for the Arts in Barnstable. Get out there and see Aaron Weber. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, thank you so much, Mike. Dude, great talking with you. And, next time I'm up in your area, maybe, next time I'd love to, come do this in person.
Yeah, I'll look for you on the Aaron Weber, AOL chat room to see what the dates are.
Perfect. Yeah. Find me on Friendster. We'll make it happen.
There we go. Right.